Okay, so let's try to cover one more coding exercise. So open the leetcode.com, go to the problem section. So here, if you scroll down, there is a question like a problem number 11, container with most water, or you can directly search here as well. So container with most water, it's come under the medium category, all right? But if we understand the question, then it is like just very easy problem. So let's open that. So here the container with the most waters. So let's read the question. You are given an integer array height. So we have given an integer array height. So let's suppose we have given an integer array height, all right, of length n. So of length n means like it could be like any number of elements in that array. That is fine. There are n vertical lines drawn such that the two endpoints of the ith line are I0 and I of height I. So basically there are n vertical lines. So just ignore this like a line. What they are saying is we have given some array, and in that array there are some values are given, right? And those values donated these lines, basically vertical lines. And we know like if we draw these vertical lines on x and y axis, how we can denote that. So let's suppose the first point, there are n vertical lines done so that the two endpoints of the ith line, two endpoints of the ith line means let's suppose this red line. So on the top endpoint and the below endpoint. On the below endpoint, so x is like some point and y is 0, and on above x is something and y is also something. So that's why they are saying. So on like there are two endpoints of that line, because if it is some line, then they have two endpoints. So first endpoints is like touching on the x-axis, so it means y is 0, and the other is on the top, so it means they have some x value, some as y value. Find two lines. We need to find those two lines that together with the x-axis form a container, so that it forms some kind of a container. Container is a kind of a box, such that the container contains the most water, so that it should hold the most amount of water. We have to return the maximum amount of water a container can store. So we have to find uh, like uh, let's suppose like they have given some array as an example, uh, an array height, an array name is height. Fine, there are some elements. So right now it has I think 8 elements. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9 elements. Correct. So they have given some 9 elements. That is fine. And all these like 9 elements have some height. So one is till one height, eight is eight height, two six is six height, two is two. So like this, last seven is seven height. Fine. We need to find those two lines so that they together they form a container. And how the container look like? So container is look like this only. Like in the container we have these lines. All right. So container is a kind of a rectangle shape. All right. So container look like this only. So such that the container contains the most water. So basically we have to find an area, because we have to form a container. We have to find those two lines which forms a container. So either it could be first two lines, it could be second and third line, or it could be first and third line, it could be second and fourth line, it could be second and the last line. Any two lines it could be like, all right. But if they make a rectangle, and that if they make a rectangle means if they make a container, and that container should contains the most water. So it means who will hold the most water, who has the more area. So if we found the area, then we have the answer. Let's suppose if I took these two lines, first two lines, and if I make a container, so how I can make a container? Like they have mentioned, notice you may not slant the container. So slant the container means I can't tilt this container. So how the container looks like? So if I try to put some water between the first and the second line, the water will fill only till this point where I have the arrow, only till one line. So this is the height and this is the width. So I can find the like area. So area is 1 into 1, that is 1. So that is the output is 1. It's going to store the like 1 metric square, like 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 metric square water. If I hold the if I consider the container is first line and the third line, then it is going to hold the water till only this one point. right? But this time width is 2, height is 1. So 2 into 1, 2. Okay, so I can consider these two lines as well. Then I can consider third as well. So basically we have to find the area. Whoever is the has the more area, we have to return that. We don't have to return like which those two lines. We have to just return the maximum amount of water we have to store, like who can store. Even if we have to return those two lines, we can like get the indexes as well. So how to like solve this problem? So we got to know that we have some arrays given. The arrays show some vertical lines, and those vertical lines also of different height. We have to find a container, and container consists of two lines, and uh, and we have to search that the container contains the most water. So container is a, we know the rectangle shape, or you can say the square shape, right? So who will hold the most water? Who has the more area? So basically, we have to find the area. Even if you see on the right hand side, they have given some basic code, and the function name itself is the max area. So we have to find the maximum area, and we know the formula of rectangle is length into like width into height. So if we know the width, if we know the height, just calculate that, and whoever has the maximum, and then we are going to return that. All right. So it's a, like if we just know we have to calculate the maximum area, then it's very easy question. And we know like whoever holds the maximum water. So let's like go through the code. Not the code, try to understand what are the possible condition. So we have to find an area. So first two lines can make an area, right? First and the third line can make an area, like first and the like starting point can be one, starting point can be 1 and the end point can be 8. Starting point can be 1, end point can be 6. Starting point can be 1, end point can be 2. Starting point can be 1, end point can be 5. So there are so many possibilities, right? So 1 and 8 is one of the possibility. Starting point 1, 6 is the end point is one of the possibilities. Starting point 1, 2 is the end point is one of the possibilities. Starting point 1, 5 is the end point is one of the possibilities. So like these two lines can make an area. First and third line can make an area. First and fourth line can also make an area. Like basically container. First and fifth line can make a container. First and sixth line can make a container. First and seventh line can make a container. First and eighth line can make a container. First and ninth line can make a container. Similarly, second and third line can make a container. Second and fourth line can make a container. Second and fifth line can make a container. Second and sixth. Similarly, uh, third and fifth. So there are so many possibilities which can make a container. So let's suppose if first and second line can make a container. So how, like, what is the width? So what is the width? Width is only 1, right? So basically how we are calculating the width? Width was the basic basis on the index. So index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So like what the index is? If we see the index, 1 minute. So if we going to how we are calculating the width. So index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 or 7. 1 minute. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let me give some space, 1 minute. So now I can 2, 3, 4. So total there are 8 indexes and 9 elements, right? So if I consider first two line as a container, then what could, because I have to find the area, and we know it is a rectangle, container is a form of rectangle, and we know the formula of rectangle is width into height. So I have to calculate the width, I have to calculate the height. If I have the both the things, I can just calculate the area, right? Like I will just multiply and will return the area, and it's a maximum amount of water means maximum area. So if I consider first two lines, what will be the width? Width is only 1 minus 0, 1. Basically, we have to subtract the index. If I calculate the first and the third line, like basically 186. So starting like what is the width? 2 minus 0. So width is 2. If I consider these three line, because like this also can make a container, then what is the width? 3 minus 0. If I consider this as a like a two lines, fifth and one as a two line, then container is this big container. What is the width? 4 minus 0. So all these are the conditions. So we know how to calculate the width? Width is just we will subtract the index, right? But how to calculate the height, right? So how to calculate the height? So if we consider first two lines like 1 and 8, so how to calculate that? We have to, if we have to make a container, so container, we have to calculate the minimum of first line or minimum of the second line. Which one is the minimum? Minimum is 1, so that's why only it will going to make a container, because we can't take a 8 can't make a container with the line 1. Like how it will make a container? It is not going to make a container. If I put some water, it will going to overflow, so it is going to store the water till this point only. So basically, if I have to calculate the height is the minimum of first point and minimum of the second point. Similarly, if I consider first line and the third line, what is the height? Height is minimum of first line, minimum of third line. If I consider first and the fourth line, what is the height? Minimum of one and minimum of fourth line. So we know how to calculate the height. Minimum of first, and so minimum of 1 and 8 is 1. Minimum of 1 and 6 is 1. Minimum of 1 and 2 is 1. Minimum of 1 and 5 is 1. Minimum 1 and 4 is 1. And we can calculate the area, height into width, height into width, height into width. Right? So one loop finished. So now we have calculated like we have run the one loop. We have calculated like this 1 8 8 6 1 8 1 6 1 2 1 5 1 4. We have calculated with first, we have calculated the each and every possibility, but we have to calculate the possibility with the second line as well. So these two can, because there could be any two lines, correct? So second and third can make a possibility, second and fourth can make a possibility, second and fifth can make a possibility, because we don't know, it could be any two lines. All right, so now, so first loop is completed and we know, okay, these are the area 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So let's consider these two lines can make a container 8 6. These three lines can make a container, like basically starting and last point. These four can make a container, these three, these five, this can also make a container, this also can make a container, this also make a container. So if I consider 8 and 6, then what is a width? Width is, subtract the index, 2 minus 1 1. What is height? Minimum of 8 and 6, minimum of 8 and 6 is 6, because if I consider red line and this black line, 8 and 6, what is the like height? Width we know 1, because 2 minus 1 1. What is height? Height is only till this point, not this point, because the water is going to overflow. We have to store the water. All right, so height is minimum of 8 and 6. So minimum of 8 and 6 is 6, so area is 6. If we consider 8 and 2, width is 2, because 3 minus 1 2. But what is height? Height is minimum of 8 and minimum of 2. So minimum of 8 and 2 is 2. We calculate the area is 4. So similarly, we are going to calculate the area. So if we consider 8 till 7, so 8 is the starting point, 7 is the last point. What is the width? Width we can calculate. 7 is like at which index? 8th index. 8th has which index? 1 index. So 8 minus 1, 7. But what is the height? So height is minimum of 8 and minimum of 7. That is 7. So we will multiply 7 into 7, 14. So if we calculate, then we are going to calculate this possibility. 6 and 2 can make a container. 6 and 5 can make a container. 6 and 4 can make a container. So similarly, we have to calculate each and every possibility. And we are going to calculate the area, and whatever the maximum area, we are going to return. And that, right? So basically, we have to run two loops. So one loop which is going to till endpoint, and second loop which is like going to calculate the area. Not the area, like which will like if I go first loop. So first we'll run 1 8 1 6 1 2 1 5 1 4. Then it will pick the second element. Then 8 6 8 2 8 5. Then it will pick the third element, 6 2 6 5 6 4. All right. Then it will start from this line, 2 5 2 4. So, right. So if we start from 8, so 8 3 8 7. Then it will start from 3. So 3 7. Then it will start from 7. Then 7, it is not going to proceed further. So basically, we have to till this point 3 and 7. Or even if we can like run from here as well, because anyhow the second loop will not going to run. So let's first try to run the 2 for loops method, which is a brute force method. And whether it is going to accept it on our Leetcode or not, then we will see. If that going to accept it, that is okay. We will going to try like modify optimal approach, that is fine. But let's try the brute force method. So Let's add the brute force method. So let me copy the code. Control A, Control C, Control V, and we know we are like using the typing method. So we have to import the list from typing, import list. And so max area, let's rename it brute force method, or maybe method one, like any method. Correct. So we have to calculate the maximum area. So let's think maximum area is 0. And 1 minute, like we have to read the constraint as well. So what the constraint? Constraint is, because if there is only, if there are 0 lines, let's suppose array is empty, then if the array is empty, there is no line, how we going to make a container? For to make a container, there should be minimum 2 lines, right? If it is 1 line, then it is like we have to return 0. If it is 0 lines, then we have to return a 0, because 1 line cannot make a container. There should be 2 walls, basically 2 lines. So that's why in a constraint as well, they have mentioned n is greater than or equal to 2. So we don't have to make a condition. If n is less than 2, then we are going to return 0. No, they are already mentioned n should be greater than or equal to 2. So they basically there are minimum 2 lines. All right. So let me copy this array. So height is equal to this. So this is the array, right? So max area is 0. So we know we have to run a two loop, because we have to check each and every possible condition. So one loop for I in range of, we have to start from 0, because we have to start from first loop, like one element, 0 to till which element? Like, because if we start from 1, then 8, then 6, then 2, then 5, then 4, then 8 and 3, but we should not have to till like read this point, because for 3 this is the container, but for 7 is only single point, like where we will go, we can't go further, like, so we have to run till 3 only. So let's suppose length is equal to length of height minus 1. So basically it's not a length, let's give some number n. So we have to run a first loop till n only, which is element number 3. Then we have to run a second loop for I in range. So second loop start from the first element, basically I plus 1, and it will run till this point. All right. So no, 1 minute. So we are running, we have to run this n minus 1, because n is length of height minus 1. So index is n. So if what should be the index? 1 minute. So let's suppose it has a length is 9. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So length is 9. 9 minus 1 8. It is going to return the 8. So we are running a loop from 0 to 8. Basically it will going to run from 0 to 7. That is fine, perfectly fine. So till this point, so that is the 7th index. And here for this we have to run from here, but we have to go till here. So I plus 1 and till you can say n plus 1. Then what we have to calculate? We have to calculate the width. So what is width? Width is j minus I, because we know first element is this, because first loop will run I is 0, then it will come here, because for the 0 it will traverse the, it will run this whole loop. Then for 8 it will going to calculate the all element, then for 6 it is going to calculate the all element. So but it width, so j is at 1, so 1 minus 0, so width is this. What is height? Height is minimum of element at this point and element at this point. So minimum of height is, then we can do is, because height is also we are array, so we can do wh. So height of I means 1, height of j is 8 in first loop. Then we have to calculate the area. So area is w star h. Then max area will be maximum of max area and area, right? So it is going to calculate each and every possibility, and then we are going to return the max area. So first it will start from 0. It will start from like index 0, which is 1. It will calculate 1 8, 1 6, 1 2, 1 5. Then one loop completed. Then it is take I is equal to 8. Then it is going to start from everything. So let's try to run this. This is the brute force method. So let's run this. So both the cases has been accepted, but let's try to submit whether all the test scenario has been accepted or not. So we could see 49 test cases has been passed out of 61, and we getting time limit exceed error because this is not an optimal solution. We are running two loops and we are traversing whole array, which means of big of n square. Right. So for this longer input, if the array is this very big, and like so our time limit get exceed. Even our code is correct because 49 test cases run fine. All right, so our code is correct, but our code did not fail with any error. It is failed with the time limit exceed error. So we have to optimize the our code. So this code is not going to work. All right, so let's delete that. But we should know at least basic approach. So what is the like other method? So just keep in mind in the array question, in the list question, if two loop did not work, then the only and only option will work is the two pointer approach. And that two pointer can be like both the two pointers at the first position. Sometimes the pointer on first, like left pointer on the left position, right pointer on the right position. All right. So this is the brute force method, which is going to work, but Leetcode has thrown some error. It has only accepted 49 or 50 test cases, but not all 61 test cases. All right. So that is perfectly okay because our solution is not optimal. So we have to optimize our solution. So how to optimize solution? So it means two loops are not accepted. So we have to run our code in single loop, basically less than two loops. So what is less than two loop in a single loop only? All right. So how to traverse that run that? All right. So we can use the two pointer approach. So how to use the two pointer approach? So let's suppose because we have to calculate the area and we want area should be maximum. And when the area will be maximum, when the height is max and the width is max. And when the width is max, so when the left pointer is at the extreme left and the right pointer is at the extreme right, only then the width is max. Leave the height. So let's keep two pointers. One is at the like left position and the right pointer is at the right position at the extreme pointer. And then we are going to calculate what is width. Width is 8 minus 0, that is the index minus 0, that is 8. What is height? Height is minimum of 1 and 7, that is 1. We will going to calculate the area 8. Now the exact trick part will going to come. Which pointer we are going to move? Either we need to move left or either we need to move right. But if I move left, let's suppose, still the width will going to remain same. If I move right only, still the width will going to remain same only. That is 7. So either I move left or either I move right, width is going to remain same. So width is not going to impact my area. So what the next part? Next part is height. So height is going to impact my area. So it means I have to move that pointer so that height is maximum. Right? So I have to move that pointer so that the height is maximum. So we know how we are calculating the height. So how we are calculating the height? We are calculating the height using this formula: minimum of left and right. Basically, minimum of some element and minimum of like first element, minimum of second element. We are calculating the height in this way. All right. So what we want is we want both the elements should be higher, because if both the elements should be higher, then we will get the maximum element. If we put height of I is minimum, height of j is also minimum, then we are going to get the minimum, because anyhow we are getting the minimum. So we will try to achieve put maximum elements here. Like if I put an example, if I put 1 and 2, then it is going to return 1. But if I put 7 and 8, then it is going to return 7, because we know we are going to return minimum. So we are going to put like bigger element. So out of 1 and 7, I will try to put 7. Out of 2 and 8, I will try to put 8. All right, because anyhow we are going to find the minimum element, but in that function, my intention is I should pass the maximum like value. So shall I move left array or shall I move right array, like right pointer? Because if I move my left pointer, let's suppose if I move my left pointer, then I have to calculate the minimum of 8 and a minimum of 7. So both are high element. If I move my right pointer, then I am going to put only 1 and 3. Right? So 1 and 3. So I am putting even very less value. So height will be less, but I have to achieve the maximum area. So what I will do is I will compare this element at left pointer and element at right pointer. If if out of 1 and 7, which is bigger? 7 is bigger and 1 is smaller. So I will move my left pointer. So basically, out of 1 and 7, which one is smaller? Because anyhow, we are going to calculate the minimum. So if we are calculating the minimum, but we want maximum height, but formula is of minimum. We want maximum height. So I will try to put both the two element as high as possible. Because if I will move my right pointer here, then I have leave my 7 and I am keeping 1. So out of two elements, I have like because one pointer is either 1 or either 7. Because either I have to move uh, left pointer or either I move my left pointer. So in the minimum function, either 1 should be there, either 7 should be there. But what I told you that I have to put the maximum value there. So how I'm going to put the maximum value out of 1 and 7? Which one is the maximum? 7 is the maximum. So I will move my left pointer. So I have to compare if 1 is bigger or 7 is bigger. 7 is bigger. So one element is maximum. I am not worried about the second element. Whatever the second element, it will decide automatically. So right. So 7 is bigger. So I will move my left pointer. Right. So 8 and 7, then I am going to calculate the area. So then I have to run the next loop. So out of 8 and 7, which one is like I will move, whether I move left pointer or right pointer? Because I know I have to put the two elements because I can't check the other elements. Right. But first element I will make sure as big as possible. So out of 8 and 7, 8 is big. So because if I move my left pointer, then I have to put 7. Right. But if I move my right pointer, then I can put 8. And my intention is put as big as possible. So what I will do is I will compare 8 and 7, and out of 8 and 7, 8 is bigger. So I am going to move my right pointer. So similarly, we will keep moving till what point when the left pointer is exceed the right pointer. Right. So let's try to run the logic. So def max area optimal method. All right. So height is the array which is list of integer, and it is going to return the integer. Right. So we have to put the left pointer at 0 index. We have to put the right pointer is length of height minus 1, because at the right at the extreme at this point, so which is like last index. So how to calculate the last index? Like this only. All right. Then we have to run loop till what point? Well, left is less than equal to right. Only we are going to run that loop. All right. So we are running the loop. So now, so left pointer is at 0, at that is at 1, and right pointer is at 7. So what we have to calculate? We have to calculate the width. So width is right minus left. Right minus left. That will give me the lift width. And what is height? So how to calculate the height? Minimum of height of left. Height is basically array. It's very confusing, but anyhow, and height of right. And we are going to calculate the area. Area is W into H, right? And we are going to calculate the max area. Max area is equal to max of max area. We have to initialize some max area as well. So max area could be 0. max area and of area, right? Now we have to decide whether we will like increment our left pointer or whether we decrement our right pointer. So we have to compare both the two pointers. So if height at left is smaller than the height at right, so if my right pointer is small, left pointer is smaller, then it means the right value has bigger. And in this function I want to put, sorry, in this function I want to put both the maximum values so that height can be maximum. All right, so height of right is bigger. So what I will do, I will move my left pointer. Left is equal to left plus one. Otherwise, what I will do, otherwise I will move my right pointer, right minus one, because I have to move backward. That's it. And I have to return the max area. So let's try to run this code on our Leetcode. Let's run this and let's run this. The solution is accepted. Let's try to submit. So our solution is accepted and we have bit like approximately 67% of the people, and our solution is accepted. Like all the test cases has been run and it is run in the O of n, because we are traversing from both the side, and it means we are traversing all the elements and maximum number of element is n. So big O of n, within a single loop we are like we have traversed everything. So this is like easy question, not a, we can't say it's a medium or tough question, because if we just know the logic means we have to calculate the how to calculate the area. It's a rectangle. How to calculate the width and the height, and we know what is width. It's just the difference of index, and what is height. It's the minimum of both. We have to calculate the calculate the area, and whatever is the area, we will just calculate the maximum. Whatever the maximum, we are going to just update the maximum area. And we can like go with the like a brute force method. We have to just calculate the area between each and every two lines. So how to calculate each and every two lines? Just by running two loops. If we don't have to run two loops, we know if we have to run in one loop, definitely two pointer approach will work. So we have to keep the two pointer. So two pointer, like we know how to calculate the width, we know how to calculate the height, we know how to calculate the area, we know how to get the max area. But only the logic is this point, like whether I should move left pointer or whether I should my right pointer, because at a time only one pointer needs to be moved. So we know we have to calculate height as much as possible, because we want max area. All right. So and we are calculating the minimum. So my intention is both the elements should be as high as possible. So 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 I have only two elements as an example, as I told you. So I am on this point. So 1 and 7. If I move my left pointer, then 7 will be in that bracket. If I move right pointer, then 1 will be in that bracket. So out of 1 and 7, only one should be definitely there. So I want as maximum as possible. So out of 1 and 7, which one I want? I definitely want 7. I don't worry about what will be the next element. Either it's small or either like a big. I don't care. So I have these two right now. So I will going to check which one is maximum. This is maximum. So I will keep this. I will move the next pointer. So that's it. And we have like done our code. So you can also try this container with the most water. It's also based on the list array and two pointer approach. And it's a good question. So that's it. That's the end of the video. Thank you.